to another video. I am Rishabh back again with another video in which we will discuss about the fat absorption today. In the last two videos, I have covered the carbohydrate absorption and the protein absorption. These three topics are very high because in any topic concerning the GIT, the basic concept will be revolve around these absorption concepts where we eat the majority of the food we have in a diet is carbohydrate, proteins or fats. We have discussed about the carbohydrate, how they are metabolized and absorbed, proteins, how they are metabolized and absorbed, and this next video we will discuss the fat, how it is metabolized and it will be absorbed. Okay, so let's discuss the fat we eat, the dietary fat. Again, it is a complex fat. It will be broken down and they are broken down into the micelles. This is maybe a new term for you. This micelles is what? This micelles is actually the chylomicrons covered with fatty layer. Means the dietary fat is suppose a large molecule. They are converted into the chylomicrons, the small molecules, and a fatty layer will be covering this chylomicron. This is called a micelle. Okay, now the question arises how this dietary fat is converted into the micelles. Okay, so this is converted by the BCP, not the ACP of the police. Okay, not the assistant commissioner of the police, but the BCP. Now what is this BCP? For B it is bile salts. For C they are cholesterol esterases, the enzyme cholesterol esterases. And for P this is pancreatic lipase and phospholipase A2 enzyme. Okay, these four things are very important: bile salts, cholesterol esterase, pancreatic lipase and phospholipase A2 enzyme. This will convert this dietary fat into the micelles. And what are micelles? I have told you. The chylomicrons are covered with the fatty layer. This is called the micelles. Okay, now what will happen is these chylomicrons, or the micelles I would say, these micelles will enter where? Will again be broken down into the smaller fatty acids. And these are the fatty acid. This is the state for the absorption. This is the state of fat we eat. This is like the complex fat we eat will be ultimately converted into the fatty acid for the absorption. So actually if I add glycerol chain in this fatty acid, this again will form the complex fat. So what should I say? Ultimately what I have done in these two steps, from the dietary fat to the micelles, number one step, and number two step where I have converted this micelle into again fatty acid, I have actually removed this glycerol chain. Okay, I should say this simply, but the question arises how this micelle will be converted to fatty acids. Again, the enzyme will be pancreatic lipase, the same number third enzyme, this one. Okay, this pancreatic lipase will convert this micelle into the fatty acid. And again, I would say the same thing which I have talked in the previous video about the proteins. This whole process was occurring in the enterolumen, means the lumen of the intestine, and they have to be moved inside what? Into the enterocytes. Now let's talk about a little different thing. Remember the carbohydrates. If you have not watched my carbohydrate and protein video, pause this video right here and open that video, watch carefully and make notes, proper notes of that, and then come back here. In the videos, I have talked about the carbohydrate will not be able to enter the enterocyte and they will need some GLUT5 channels for the fructose and SGLT1 channels for galactose and glucose. In the protein, I said what? In the proteins, I said that the oligopeptides and the amino acids need some transporters. They needed the sodium ion transporter, they needed the hydrogen ion co-transporter, or some other process for large peptides, which was the transcytosis to enter the enterocytes. But here is a different story. These fatty acids will directly enter the enterocytes without any issue. I would say without any problem. These fatty acids will enter the intestinal cells. Okay, now what will happen? Suppose this is a enterocyte and here it is lymphatic vessel. For the fat, there are many different things you should know about. Firstly, in the protein and carbohydrates, what we discussed is the absorption will occur into the blood vessels, but in the fats, the absorption will occur where? In the lymphatic vessels, and it is a very important point to note. Okay, and the I should say a villi or the finger-like projection of the lymphatic vessel which enters the intestinal cell, which you are seeing, this one. This is called as lacteal. Maybe you have heard this name before. A lacteal will help in the absorption of the fatty molecule from the intestinal cell to the lymphatic vessels, and through the lymphatic vessel, see what will happen is the fatty acids kept here, these fatty acids which are kept here will be enter the lacteals. Through lacteals they will enter the lymphatic vessel, and the lymphatic vessel will make them reach into the blood, and again the blood will absorb it and reach to the target organs. Okay, and do you know what are the target organs for the fat? Yes, the target organ for the fat are, pause this if you don't know and think about it, it is the adipose tissue. The adipose tissue in the muscle, mainly in the muscle and little in the liver, they are the target organs for the fat absorption. Okay, so this is the major concept. There are a very different things for the fat and a different approach rather than carbohydrate and protein simple approach. Now last thing which I should say as a revision, what I should tell you, that carbohydrate metabolism starts, कार्बोहाइड्रेट का मेटाबॉलिज्म कहाँ स्टार्ट होता है? इन द ओरल कैविटी. Same thing if I discuss about the protein. For the protein, it starts in the intestine. And this is the wrong answer. Now, see, you know the enzyme pepsin which was released in the stomach. So the protein metabolism starts in the stomach. And then the last, fat. The process for the fat metabolism starts in the intestine. Yes. Okay, so the approach for all this is different. Carbohydrate in the oral cavity, protein in the stomach, and fat in the intestine. Then comes the absorption part. The carbohydrate will be absorbed directly into the blood vessels, protein directly into the blood vessels, and fat ultimately, yes, into the blood vessels. But the question arises how it will reach to the blood vessels? Through lymphatic vessels. And the question is not about the lymphatic vessels. The question will be asked, what is the finger-like projection of the lymphatic vessels in the enterocytes which help in the absorption of the fat? And your answer should be these lacteals. Okay, so that's it for this video, and I hope you have understood all the three major dietary elements we eat, like carbohydrate, protein, and fat, how they are absorbed, where they are metabolized, what are the first organs initiated, what are the enzymes. And for the enzymes, I would again say watch the GIT enzymes video of mine. The link will be in the description. So that's it, and I hope you have understood it all, and try to join the Telegram channel of the Inspiring Minds, where I will have a short quiz of 10 to 15 questions which will be integrated on all the three concepts of carbohydrate, fat, and proteins, and I hope you will be able to answer the questions. Thank you, and see you in the next one.